So the initial inspiration for this project was to come up with a question that would guide the students to explore the place where we are. I was just interested in having them connect with a real place in a real time and to use art methods to explore.
Go there.
Water finds its own path, and it's a little tricky to try and follow water because it'll go under the road, it'll go around a tree and you can't find it. It kind of finds its way, so it's kind of a fun thing to try and chase.
The sound walk was designed to follow the path of the water. We're playing with when we can and can't hear the water, prompting the kids to listen for it and look out for when it surprises us along the path. I give them a list of things to actively listen for. So some of the things in this particular booklet that I gave them to look for was, for example, a sound that has traveled a long way to reach us, a sound that makes them think of life, a sound that feels very living and alive. I think water has resemblance to the human voice, for example, and it is very musical, and its properties change a lot depending on where we're listening, and so it invites a lot of creative ways to listen.
It was like a footstepping wheel. Can you climb up here?
Hold this way. Three keepers. And so now that it's turned on, one thing that you can see is these two lines. Can you see those two lines?
Yeah.
They're going up and down. That's telling you how much sound is hitting this microphone. And the water, it's going to be the same. It splashes on one rock, it makes a type of sound. Splashes on some wood, makes a different sound.
Sound is a great way in to environment and nature. It's a really great way to ask questions. So any system, like whether it's a city or a park or an ecosystem, sound is going to be revealing a lot of things about that system that we might not just notice with our eyes or know to search out in a book. We'll start to notice rhythms of life, presences, absences. We are practicing attending not to our own busyness or our own human noise, but we are kind of joining nature and attending to nature. And so those microphones, they show a different world. They show the world as if someone else's ears were picking it up. Before it gets to your ear, the microphones, quote unquote, their ears, are picking up a different range of frequencies. And so some sounds that were less pronounced will be suddenly the main focus.
Like that. It says big rock in the water and we want to...
We gave them some information about how different materials reflect sound differently and just to see how deeply they took that. So at some points they were using their own, like their fingers or moss or sticks to actually kind of lightly graze the windsock or plopping rocks in the water, but then also just getting different vantage points. Some of them trying to see if they could get a sample of the water from every part of the stream that we were accessing. So one group was starting at the top and going down.
The water. Oh.
When you haven't spent time listening as a focused activity, it's almost like black and white vision and then color. Like it's a new level of awareness of your senses. And so I think if that's been piqued, if the curiosity has been piqued, or if that's been kind of opened up, that suddenly the power of listening is something that's at least on their radar and there's some curiosity.
What I started students doing is cleaning off the dandelion flowers so that we could use them for the dye pot. In the workshop, we used natural inks and dyes, mostly from materials that would come from the kitchen. So we had beets and pomegranates and cabbage, along with the dandelion ink. So students helped take all the green parts off the flowers. We put all the flowers in the dye pot so that it could simmer while we were working on other parts of our painting. Okay, go have a seat, I'll tell you what's next. I was thinking more about water and then like connection with watercolor paint. I guided students through painting prompts that were meant to connect them with their five senses. Prompts like asking them what sounds did they hear on their walk, or imagine what Burnaby Mountain used to look like thousands of years ago when the Salish Sea surrounded Burnaby Mountain and it was an island. What'd you hear on the walk? Are you going to put her somewhere in the painting? If we're making work that's responsive to the environment of Burnaby Mountain, always in the back of my mind there is this question around climate change and how are the trees that can survive on Burnaby Mountain going to change, or how are the waterways on Burnaby Mountain going to change even further?
The whole way? Yes, the whole way. From the school.
And I brought something special with you today that's inspiring our art project, and this is a quilt that I made. The log cabin quilt pattern is a really traditional, basic quilt design.
Gorgeous, these look great tomorrow.
You have these interlocking rectangles that go around a center square. And the center square is often yellow or orange or red. So the center square is meant to represent the hearth of the home. And then I think in this workshop, it was meant to represent where we were placing our attention through the different prompts and what I was asking students to paint. Basically, everyone made an abstract painting on their paper. So we cut up those papers and then used a quilt template to make a quilt design. Freedom of, you made a painting and now let's cut it up. It's more, again, about the experience rather than the end result of what the students are going to make. My hope is that having a creative practice and an art practice helps you pay attention, and that's something I think we're struggling with, is how to keep our attention and point our attention onto what we want to point it onto. So through the workshop too, I just wanted to help point their attention to the natural world around them.
If I play this, I just want you to notice something. You hear it sounds fairly 3D, three-dimensional. You can hear a left and a right. You have two ears. So we recorded two microphones because they each pick up slightly different sounds. Just like your ears are picking up slightly different sounds. If you hear a sound over here, that sound will hit this ear first, and then it hits that ear second, and your brain understands that without you having to tell it. Basically, the idea was just to give the students the fact that what you can do with editing, again, that you can't do in the real world, is listen back to all these different perspectives all at once. You can jump from one spot of the creek to the other spot really quick, and I can listen to 20 different perspectives in quick succession. Edited together into one stream. And reorienting them to those recordings, because what happens when you're in the field recording, it's one experience, but when you've when you listen back to a recording after a month and in a very different context, and you're not running around in the actual field, then they can kind of listen to it in a detached way, and it's always surprising the new things they hear. If I move it, it sounds maybe like a boom, right?
What does the ring sound like?
Water's a good kind of sound to play with because it's full frequency. It's a wide spectrum of sounds. You have high parts and you have the low parts, the very bassy parts, and so you can use a filter on that, opening it up and closing it. A lot of them were noticing oh, that sounds like a wave, Or that sounds like we're underwater, like a lot of these, the terminology, the metaphors that come up when you're filtering. I can bring it back. I can even do these gestures. Because they've recorded real world sounds on the streams. And what I wanted to show them was that using these audio tools, you can listen back to those real world recordings in a new way, in a different way that you're not able to usually.
Why does water exist?
Whichever students wanted to, they could ask a question about water into the microphone, and so I could show them what recording a voice looks like, and also playing it back right away is fun. Yeah, you're compressing and expanding the air in front of you, and then that's hitting this microphone, which has a little diaphragm, and then it turns it into electricity. It goes down this cable. One more time, nice and loud.
Where does water that you drink go? How many waterways is there in BC? What do we do when we run out of water? What's the biggest waterway in the world?
If the Earth was made out of a bunch of rocks from space, how did the water come into Earth?
What types of birds drink from the stream?
Why does water exist?
Yeah, so we can say like a little splash. And you could hear the little splashes.
Like the branches snapping, or like the leaves
We also did
ripping.
footsteps.
We did some smooth, some cracky, and I didn't like some parts, but so far the smoothing was my favorite part of it.
One thing I hope that these students take away from this experience is the idea that they can use their creativity to explore the mountain and also ask questions about their world, and to see art not just as making a pretty picture, but also as itself a way to engage their world.